Zhivkov continued reading, firm and composed, as he moved into the next section of his report. Comrades, the parties of India and Indonesia must explain to their peoples the policy and tactics pursued by China toward India and Indonesia. Even for us, it is difficult to give any clear explanation. Here, his tone tightened, sounding both concerned and accusatory. Comrades, what we are dealing with here is not merely a departure from principles in the assessment of the international situation. We are dealing with departures from principles on a number of fundamental issues, such as the question of peaceful coexistence, the question of war and peace, the struggle for peace, the question of disarmament, and the issue of peaceful versus non-peaceful transition. He emphasized sharply, all these fundamental issues were clearly explained in the Moscow Declaration. Our political line and tactics are aimed at educating the international working class and the peoples for the unfolding of their activity. These lines and tactics were jointly elaborated by the parties of the various socialist countries and were intended to guide the struggle of all peoples. Therefore, this is a matter concerning the entire international communist movement. Zhivkov paused momentarily, then added in an even voice. Comrades, at today's meeting it is necessary to point out to the Chinese comrades that they have committed serious mistakes, both strategic and tactical. On the question of building socialism, they have also made a number of serious errors. Let us take, for example, the people's communes. His tone sharpened. The issue is not one of form, name, or idea, but of essence and substance. In reality, in the current people's communes, major changes have already taken place compared to the past. He continued, more didactically. The socialist transformation of agriculture in our socialist countries is based on Lenin's plan for cooperation, guided by Lenin's principle of distribution according to labor, and by the Leninist principle of material interest and its combination with state and collective interests. Then, in a cold, factual manner. However, the Chinese comrades act differently. Their methods are peculiar. We believe that despite some differences in methods of cooperation among various countries, there are still important commonalities that show we are all following Lenin's cooperative path. Zhivkov's voice hardened. The Chinese comrades have departed from the Leninist principles of cooperation in matters of wage payment and distribution. They have implemented a system of free supply, introduced the consumption principle characteristic of wartime communism. The Chinese comrades want to leap over this stage. He leaned forward as he read. All this is not only in contradiction with Marxist-Leninist positions on the transition from capitalism to socialism and communism, but also runs counter to the experience accumulated by the Soviet Union and other socialist countries. He added forcefully, in attempting to jump over a necessary stage, the Chinese comrades are committing a leftist deviation and are abandoning the principles of Marxism-Leninism. The document continued. I would like briefly to touch on the questions of the leap or the Great Leap in China. Zhivkov continued reading the text steadily. The Chinese comrades believe that the economy develops like a saddle, meaning rise, decline, and rise again. However, we know that such a pattern, rise, decline, rise again, is characteristic of capitalist economies. He spoke with emphasis. Our socialist economy is planned and therefore develops upward. This creates enormous opportunities for the rapid development of the economy, allows us to mobilize the internal potentials of the socialist economy, and accelerate the growth of productive forces. This is the only correct path. He added firmly, it is necessary to point out clearly that the rapid development of our socialist economy does not represent any kind of leap, as the Chinese comrades claim. Zhivkov shifted to an example. Comrades, I must emphasize the achievements we have made in Bulgaria over a short period. At one time, we used the term economic leap. But although we used that term, we never had in mind what the Chinese comrades understand by it. His voice became dismissive. The so-called leap, as the Chinese comrades present it, is incomprehensible to us. After studying more thoroughly the Chinese theory of the leap and their interpretation of it, we abandoned the concept of economic leap in order not to create the impression among party members or among fraternal parties that we agree with the erroneous methods of the Chinese comrades? Zhivkov then asked with a rhetorical edge, "Comrades, what is the source of the Chinese errors, which express themselves in departures from Marxist-Leninist theory and socialist practice?" He answered immediately, "In our opinion, the source lies in the fact that some Chinese leaders consider China to be a great country and the Communist Party of China a great party. This has led to nationalist tendencies among some party and government leaders of China." He continued, pointing to the contradiction. "The Chinese comrades say that the Soviet Union and the CPSU play the leading role, that they support the Soviet Union's leadership. But this is only in words. In practice, they act contrary to this." His tone sharpened. "In both foreign policy and in the building of socialism, they diverge from other socialist countries. If the Chinese comrades say that the CPSU is the leader of the international working class movement and that the Soviet Union is the center of the socialist camp, then it is necessary for the Chinese comrades to demonstrate discipline and proletarian internationalism." He underscored, "This is a basic requirement. If they truly speak for unity and cohesion of the international communist movement, then we hope they will reflect on what their actions actually mean." Zhivkov closed the section with a stern conclusion. "We respect the People's Republic of China, the Chinese people, and the Communist Party of China. We fully recognize their role in strengthening the socialist camp and the international workers' movement. But if the Chinese leaders do not recognize their serious mistakes, if they do not understand that they have diverged from Marxism-Leninism, if they allow the unity of the socialist camp and the international communist movement to be undermined, then we can only express deep regret, and we will give them firm opposition."